My name is Richard Crawford, and I've built my career on representing luxury brands around the world. And in doing so, I've had the privilege of having some truly out-of-the-ordinary experiences. But at what cost? It's getting harder and harder to blindly ignore the impact our extravagant lifestyle is having on the planet and its people. So I've decided to investigate whether there really is a sustainable way to visit the wonders of the world but still have extraordinary luxury. Can I have globe-trotting adventures without leaving a significant footprint? Well, let's find out. And by using the basic principles that define ecotourism, which are minimal impact, sustainability, social responsibility, and of course, let's not forget overall guest experience, I will rate my travels around the planet to see if we really can make a difference. This episode takes us to our southernmost destination to date, the Huilo Huilo Biological Reserve in the Patagonia rainforest of Chile. The reserve is located high in the southern Andes and is part of a unique and little explored ecosystem, and it hosts one of the most extraordinary and representative biodiversities on the planet, including a number of species of flora and fauna that are unique in the world. There, girls, eat your heart out. It is also home to a collection of some of the most fantastical accommodations that you'll ever see, including a hotel shaped like a mountain that is straight out of a fairy tale. And for the outdoorsy types, there are glacier ski fields, whitewater rafting, and one of the longest zip lines in the world. I'm really looking forward to see how the introduction of tourism can coexist with this vital and ancient ecosystem without destroying it. They say good things come to those who wait, and if that's the case, then I'm expecting this trip to be absolutely incredible. To be honest, it's been quite a trek to get down here. We started off with a 12-hour flight from New York to Santiago. Then we had another flight, which was about an hour and a half from Santiago to the small town of Temuco. And now we're on the final leg of our journey, which is a 100-mile road trip into the middle of the Chilean Patagonian rainforest. And that should give you a sense of just how remote this place actually is. Now, these guys have been internationally recognized for their work in sustainability and scientific research into the environment. And if that wasn't enough to entice me to come down here, I hear that their accommodations are really unique. So I'm looking forward to getting up there and checking it all out. Hola, we finally made it here. Welcome to Huilo Huilo Biological Reserve right here in the Patagonia rainforest. You know, this part of Chile is still relatively undiscovered, and the reserve itself is part of a sustainable development based on three essential elements: integration of community, conservation through scientific research, and of course, sustainable tourism. Now, there are 8 buildings on the property, each one of them just as unique and diverse as the surroundings. And the first thing that you notice when you get here is everything, and I mean everything, is made up of wood, which I guess makes a lot of sense because we are in the middle of the Patagonia rainforest. So let's check in and explore this place just a little bit further. Hey, how are you? Thank you very much. Ready to check in? I'm here with Ignatius, the General Manager. Ignatius, tell me a little bit about what exactly is the Huilo Huilo Biological Reserve.
Well, Huilo Huilo is a biological reserve that was founded in the year 2000. It comprises 100,000 hectares and is based mostly in 3 fundamental pillars.
Okay.
First one is the conservation of the natural heritage and culture. Second is the sustainable tourism. The third one is the integration of the local community.
Yeah. Now, tell me why this place is so good for ecotourism.
Well, you have the beautiful landscape, rainforests, rivers, mountains. You have the social factor that the money that you spend here, some of them come back to the community. And the third one is that we have 5 very good conservation programs.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier about integration of local community. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, currently 80% of the staff are from the local community.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. In speaking with Ignatius, he had mentioned that this area is part of a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, and it actually sits in a Chilean Patagonian temperate rainforest. And what does that mean? It rains all the time. In fact, they told me earlier that it might rain about 10 months of the year here. Now, the good news is they said it's supposed to clear up later. But before we get into anything else, let's go check out some of the world-famous accommodations here. This was the first hotel built on the property, the aptly named Montaña Mágica, which means Magic Mountain. And as you can see behind me, I personally am in awe. I have never seen anything as unique and strange as this hotel. It has 12 rooms, each with a bathroom, and it even comes with its own waterfall. You know, the rooms really are like something out of a fairy tale, and they're really surprisingly cozy. I wonder if Tinkerbell will leave a little chocolate on my pillow tonight. Keeping with the theme of bringing outdoors inside, the waterfall that you actually seen outside on Magic Mountain comes into the building, runs through a reception, and exits out at the restaurant on the other side. The building behind me is the Noto Fargas Hotel, by far the most distinctive building on the property. And yes, it's actually built to look like a tree so that it blends in with its surroundings here in the rainforest. It's quite the feat of engineering and architecture. There are 55 rooms, some of those are double level suites, each one of them having an incredible view of the rainforest and the volcano. And then up top is an impressive rooftop terrace. From this vantage point, you get a real sense of where you are. Snow-capped volcano, surrounded by trees. I can hear the river in the distance. It really is breathtaking. This is just one of the rooms at the Noto Fargas Hotel, and this particular suite actually has 2 levels. Up here, we have the sitting area, and downstairs, we have the master bedroom, which has a super king-size bed to give you an incredible night's sleep. But what's most impressive about this suite is it is one of the best views that you'll ever see. And when you do need to take a bath, what better way to do it than in a jacuzzi with a view of the volcano? This hotel has a really unique shape to it, and to be honest, housekeeping must really hate it. But when I said it was built within the trees and within the forest, I really wasn't kidding. The latest property to be built on the site is the Fungi Kingdom. Kind of pays homage to the fact that there's fungi here everywhere. And unsurprisingly, it's shaped like a mushroom. Has won several awards over the years, and one in particular was for this canopy village, which are small cabins up in the trees that families can actually camp out on right in the middle of nature. As unique as the accommodations are here at the Wheelo Wheelo Resort, it's just as important that the food is good, and are almost fanatical here about A, the quality of the food, and B, that everything is sourced locally. One of the options to eat is at the restaurant, Noto Fargas, and it offers a full a la carte menu. They also have an extensive buffet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And who doesn't love a buffet? But the most exclusive dining experience here on the reserve is here at the Nawelpi Lodge, where you can sit and enjoy a cocktail by the fireplace before you go into the dining room and have the executive chef prepare your meal. So while the accommodations and food are spectacular, I still have something very special to show you. Well, hello there, and welcome to what, in my opinion, is one of the most luxurious cabins in any rainforest around the world, the Nawelpi Lodge. There are 12 cabins, each one of them built using materials sourced locally. For example, this fireplace right here is built with a stone called laca, which was taken from a nearby volcano. Now, as with all the other structures here at Wheelo Wheelo, everything, literally everything, is built with wood. Now here is a prime example of when they built this place, they wanted to do very little to interfere with the local environment. So they've literally built around this tree and left it here. But we'll actually see more examples of that later. Each cabin comes with a full bathroom, a double vanity, and even has a jacuzzi tub with a beautiful view. As you would expect in a cabin of this quality, you're going to get a great night's sleep in a super king-size bed. And every morning that you wake up, the first thing that you're going to see is the Patagonia rainforest. And wow, what an amazing view that is. Now, I'm actually having to raise my voice just a little bit now because the Fui River runs directly beneath us here, and you can almost feel the power of it from up here. However, let me show you my favorite part. What better way to end the day than on your own private balcony in a wood-powered hot tub, listening to a raging river, watching the sunset, drinking the finest Scotch whisky in the world in the middle of the Patagonia rainforest. Salute. Coming up next, I learn what Wilo Wilo is doing to protect this incredibly beautiful but fragile ecosystem. I visit some of their conservation programs, and later on, I brush up on some of my biking skills from my youth. Welcome back to the Wilo Wilo Biological Reserve here in southern Chile. And I've just had a good look around all the accommodation at Wilo Wilo, and I thought now would be a good time to really dig in to the eco side of the project. Now, very recently they've built this cable car that goes from here to one of the highest spots in the region. So I thought I'd take a ride up there and get a lay of the land, and that's about as good a place to start as any. The Wilo Wilo Biological Reserve was founded in 1999 by a Chilean businessman named Victor Peterman. Now, up until the late 1980s, it was owned by a very large state-run forestry company, and they went out of business and basically exhausted the land environmentally and depleted the economy and absolutely ruined it. Now, in the mid-1990s, Mr. Peterman bought this land, all 600 square kilometers of it, and created a non-profit natural reserve and ecotourism project. And I'm sure we'll learn all about that over the next couple of days, but what I know right now is that this place is absolutely beautiful. You know, they weren't kidding about the view up here, and the reserve has some incredible natural features. We have Lake Pirihueco, we have the volcano Mochos Choshuenco, we have the incredible Fui River, and of course the Patagonian rainforest. And later on, we're going to go see some incredible waterfalls. What more could somebody want from an area like this? I mentioned earlier that traditionally this place was very dependent on logging. And from the 1940s to the 1970s, this was all work camps here, employing about 500 people from the local communities. Now, in the early 1970s, the state government came in, took over, and made it a much bigger operation. And by the time they closed down in the late 1980s, they were employing up to 3,000 people. So as you can imagine, when it closed down, it was devastating to the economy and the local community. Today, as we found out, Wilo Wilo, 80% of their employees are from these towns and communities. And Wilo Wilo are also building a living museum so that they can educate people on deforestation. Now, fortunately today, these communities depend on ecotourism and not logging. I think it's important to note at this point that commercial logging still exists in this part of Chile, although it is all outside of the reserve area. And the good news is that it's now from sustainable growth forests. What continues to impress me about this reserve is how they use all the natural resources from the rainforest in their construction. And the Welpy Lodge here is a prime example of that. And it's not just about the building materials, it's about the design. Now, this door is made out of wood, and lots of doors are made out of wood, but look at this. This is the branches straight from the rainforest. Now, the big focal point here of the lodge is this huge tree growing right through the middle, and it's all glassed off, and it makes for a great talking point. But if you had any doubt at all that they could build this lodge without knocking down trees, then here is a prime example. This is a tree literally growing right through the middle of the lodge. And it's not just one to make a point. Over here there are several more, so you literally feel like you're in the middle of the rainforest. And this is a living, breathing, growing tree. You just don't get any more environmentally sensitive than that. Well, one thing there's no shortage of around here is water. And because of the topography of this region, there are some very powerful waterfalls. And around here they've managed to harness that power and create hydroelectric power. Now, this particular hydroelectric power station behind me is from the 1950s. And when Wilo Wilo bought all the land in the late 1990s, this came as part of the package. So all the electricity at the Wilo Wilo Reserve is coming from this particular hydroelectric power station. What's really interesting is that this power station is so old that if anything breaks down, they can't buy the parts anywhere for it. So the Wilo Wilo Reserve actually have to manufacture the parts. Let's hope they're not making that out of wood. The good news is there's a new hydroelectric power station being built. One of the founding principles of the Wilo Wilo Reserve is the integration of community. And in fact, the foundation has been set up for that purpose, and you can come visit that foundation here. Now, the organisation employs locals, and it's actually the only organisation that employs women. And some of those women work in here producing arts and crafts that are then sold and help fund the organisation itself. So let's go have a look inside. So these ladies specialise in making little elves. Now, they handed me the one that's a woodcutter, but they also handed me the village idiot, which I don't know if they're trying to tell me something. As well as making these elves, they also make these little cushions with all this beautiful stitching on it. So let me see if I can get a little go at making something here myself. Can I try to make something here myself? Thank you. How's that? Is that good? Oh! Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, laughing at me? My arts and crafts is not my thing. It's not my thing. You know what? It was easier for me just to buy one. Community integration is one of the 3 pillars of Wilo Wilo's philosophy. They believe that community engagement will help educate locals, and for that matter, visitors as well. And they host 4 annual festivals a year that promote conservation of natural spaces and cultural development. And I was lucky enough to be able to attend one of them. Although, even the children put my dancing skills to shame. The dance we are watching here is a cueca, which was voted the national dance of Chile in 1979, and it represents the energetic dance the rooster makes when courting its hen. The locals here are really friendly and know how to throw a party, and apparently, unlike me, everyone knows how to dance. Coming up, I visit one of the most incredible waterfalls I've ever seen, and later, I go skiing on a glacier and whitewater rafting on the mighty Fui River. It's easy to see why this is considered one of the most valuable and threatened natural regions in the world. Ecotourism is a big buzzword right now in the travel industry. And what does it mean? Well, at the very least, it means do not leave any trace. Now, if you want to take an eco-tour, you have to find somewhere that is totally integrated into the environment and in a sustainable way. And I'm here at the Wilo Wilo Reserve in Patagonia, Chile. And with the river raging underneath me and the sun about to rise, it does not get any more eco than this. One of the real attractions of coming to Wilo Wilo is the huge range of hikes, walks and trails available. With terrain including mountains, grasslands, snow, rivers and fields, there is a range of difficulties catering to every level. The scenery is truly majestic, and it's even better when discovered together with a local guide. I teamed up with my guide and good friend, Rogelio, and we started our day's journey by visiting the amazing Salto Wilo Wilo. When the people at the Wilo Wilo Reserve tell you that you'll be hiking through the Patagonian rainforest, they really mean deep in the Patagonian rainforest. So here we are in the misleadingly named grasslands, which compared, I guess, to the rest of the environment around here, there is more grass than anywhere else. But we are in a bowl surrounded by mountains, and this part has actually been set up as a sanctuary for some endangered species indigenous to this region. What are the animals that were?
Huemules, guanacos, and pumas.
Yeah, what he said. Basically a deer, a llama, and a puma. And what it does is it really brings home that the Wilo Wilo Biological Reserve is more than just a hotel. It's actually a big part of sustaining the environment around here. We good?
Yeah.
Let's go. There, girls, eat your heart out. So our guide has actually brought us down here to this almost little oasis type spot. There's a lake behind me which acts as a migrating spot for ducks. It's also the only place that this tree behind me, the Spanish moss, grows in this particular region. And what's really, really surprising is it's so quiet. You know, I thought I'd stop for a second and just take a deep breath and really absorb the surroundings that I'm in. And you know, it's places like this that really highlight the importance of ecotourism and sustainability and why it's so important to keep places like this protected. And what better way to enjoy this than to get out on this lake today, which by the way, it looks like a sheet of glass, with a nice little leisurely paddle in my kayak. And I have to say, I'm really surprised at how clear that water is. Well, here goes. The Wilo Wilo Biological Reserve provides both support to the local community and protection for the environment. Now, in the local community, they provide education, healthcare, and put on events and festivals. On the environmental side, they have several programs. They have reintroduced a deer native to this area, and they have a llama rehabilitation program too. Now, they also have a Darwin's Frog program, which is in actual fact why this education centre was built, so that both adults and children should come in and learn all about Darwin's frogs. Now, Darwin's frogs used to have a large population in southern Chile, but today it's down to about 30 or 40 small pockets. And the Darwin's frog is important because it's a bio-indicator, which literally means it's an indication of how well the environment is doing. And the fact that we haven't saw very many of them around here lately is probably a little bit of a warning sign. Now, the Wilo Wilo Foundation is supported both by private donation and a percentage of many of the guests that stay here. It kind of puts it all into perspective and gives you a sense of why organisations like the Wilo Wilo Foundation are really important. As I mentioned, it's not just the Darwin frog that gets a Wilo Wilo treatment. They have established a centre for the conservation of the South Andean deer. Also known as a humo, it is part of Chile's national coat of arms, and it's also a national natural monument. Its global population has been reduced by more than 99%. Since 2006, Wilo Wilo has provided support and sanctuary for breeding of this endangered species. And hey, they're pretty cute too. Still to come, I tap into my rugged side and challenge myself with some of the more extreme activities available in the area, including one of the world's longest and highest zip lines. Buenos dias! It's another amazing day here at the Wilo Wilo Biological Reserve. And as well as fantastic accommodation and great food, we are in the middle of the Patagonia rainforest, so there's a ton of really cool stuff to do. So let's go check some of that out. Hey Rockstar, you ready?
Ready to go.
Let's go! We've covered pretty extensively the Patagonia rainforest itself, but the water features here are also a big part of the local tourism. Now, I've shown you some really pristine lakes and we've seen some really powerful waterfalls, but I thought it's now time to actually get my feet wet. So we've joined this whitewater rafting experience here, and we're going to head down the Fui River, which runs for about 17 kilometers between the Pirihueco Lake and the Pangapui Lake. Now, I'm told that we're going to be going down some class 4s. I have no idea what that means, so I had to look it up. So here we go. Class 4 whitewater rafting. Medium waves. Maybe rocks. Maybe a considerable drop. Definitely some sharp maneuvers. And the skill level needed is exceptional rafting experience. Well, it's safe to say I don't have that. But you know what? I got some merit badges when I was in the Cub Scouts for my swimming, so maybe I'll be okay. What can go wrong? Let's go see. All going so well until the mighty Fui River claimed its first victim. On a completely unrelated note, we are currently interviewing for a new sound engineer. It turns out our last one couldn't swim. Well, that was amazing. Definitely a lot of fun. And it was actually a lot longer than I expected, which was absolutely incredible. It was about 10 kilometers. Some of the moments were a little more hair-raising than others, but hey, I made it. I'm in one piece. I'm relatively dry, and you know, if that's class 4, I might be ready for class 5. So it's not all about the great outdoors here. An essential part of the Wilo Wilo Reserve is celebrating the local culture. And this building behind me is a museum of the volcano, which houses a lot of the artifacts from the indigenous people here, the Mapuche. So let's go have a look inside. It's actually quite an impressive building, and all the artifacts, or most of them at least, are owned by the Wilo Wilo Reserve themselves. It's great that they have put this place together because it really gives you an idea of the rich history of the area, and not just the more modern times, but the ancient natives as well. And if you don't want to walk through the Patagonia rainforest, you can always get a horse to do it for you. Good girl, bueno, good girl. Horse legs. So one of my favourite things here at the Wilo Wilo Resort is they give you these little golf carts to get around in, and even better, you get around on this like elevated track that's built out of a bunch of timber and a bunch of wood. And I take the speed limit that they gave me as a suggestion and not a rule. So it's actually a ride worthy of Disneyland, but what they've forgotten to do is take the trees out of the way. Oh, well, I guess I'm gonna have to practice a little more this week. And nobody needs to know a thing. Yep, we're good. So after a long day of trekking, hiking, canopy and plenty other excursions, imagine my surprise when I found out that there's actually a brewery on a Wheelo Wheelo reserve. It's like a dream come true. And I'm gonna go get a refill. Now, what's a good beer without pizza? And fortunately, the reserve has its own pizzeria as well as its brewery. And by the way, I'm not a big beer drinker, but this is absolutely delicious. They even have a little bar/gift shop that you can either have a beer here or buy some and take it with you. And I tell you what, these seats might look good being made from the local environment, but they're really uncomfortable, and I think after a couple of beers I'd lose my balance and fall off. Can I have a 4-pack, please? Thank you. The reserve even has its own lake, Lake Pirihueco, and you can take a day trip and enjoy everything around us here. Beautiful water, beautiful mountains, and again, the volcano in the background. You know, they tell you at the reserve that it's 100,000 hectares, but you don't really get a sense of how big that is or how massive it feels until you're out here standing on the edge of a lake, which goes for about an hour over to Argentina. And you see the rainforest and you've got the volcanic mountain up there. It really, really is a massive and awesome experience. So we're actually heading out of winter and just beginning spring in this part of the world, and you can see from the environment around us it's still actually pretty cold out here, and the lake is definitely cold out in the middle. But this part around here on the shore is actually pretty warm. This is Helio, our guide. Tell us a little bit why that is.
Okay, it's pretty simple. We have a big volcanic structure around here, and the water touches the magma and then come up again, and you can see it in the bubbles around here.
So little bubbles rising up. So it's basically hot springs.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they're harnessing these hot springs and they're pumping it up to the side of the mountain there and filling little wooden tubs, so we can actually go up there and have a little hot spring bath. So let's go check it out. On the way to the baths, I took a closer look at the little pump house they have built on the edge of the lake, and you can see how warm the water is by the steam rising up. What you can't see is the smell of rotten eggs. It was pretty strong because of the high sulfur content of the water. The Termas del Lago, or the lake hot springs, consist of 10 natural baths made from hollowed out trees, and locals have been visiting the area for centuries, and the waters are known for their healing and medicinal properties. Although I'm not sure the locals were ready for my pink flamingo board shorts. This is absolutely amazing. You don't get any closer to nature than this. Next to a lake, on the side of a mountain, sitting in a hot spring tub. Absolutely incredible. Just because we're in the middle of the wilderness doesn't mean that we have to give up our luxuries, and the hotel has actually put together this beautiful little spread so that we can watch the sunset right behind the Mucho Chashuenco volcano back there. But I have to say, now I know why they call this place Chile, because it's freezing. Cheers. So it's early to bed for me tonight, as tomorrow I tackle one of the longest zip lines in the world, hit the steep mountain trails on my bike, and I aim to conquer the mighty Mucho Chashuenco volcano. So, wish me luck. Well, good morning. and welcome back to the Huilo Huilo Biological Reserve in Patagonia, Chile. This place really is spectacular, and now I'm lucky enough to take a closer look at it from a rather unusual perspective. Our guide Rogelio tells me that the area is famous for the zip lines over the forest canopy.
Pretty simple.
He also tells me not to worry.
So where do I start?
He's done it plenty of times before,
It doesn't look simple.
but I'm not so
Okay.
sure.
Is there a diaper attached to it for for when I almost pee myself?
Hey, if this kid can do it, so can I. Right?
So I use this glove,
Yeah,
pull the cable down,
Yeah.
put it on top of the cable.
yeah, the top of the cable.
Is that my brake?
Yeah,
It is.
it's the brake.
You don't sound
Yeah,
too.
but the line is made just.
There are 3 zipline courses. The smaller Chacal flight at 300 meters long, the Eagle flight consisting of 4 zip lines of 150 meters each, and the grandly named Condor XL canopy flight with almost 2 kilometers of cables. This rather terrifying set of zip lines is the longest and highest in South America. Just getting to the start nearly kills me.
As beautiful as the rainforest is from the ground, I figured I'd give it a go from up here in the canopy. Here goes. That's not easy. A couple of big nasty holes in this net, but I guess I'm not going anywhere. I just became an instructor. That's how quick I pick stuff up. And you know, I should be a little more scared, but there's so much mist down there, I really can't see where I'm going, so here it goes. Experience that is. Oh, adrenaline. One of the most popular experiences here on the reserve is mountain biking because the terrain really lends itself to some exciting trails. Now, to be honest, today is not the best weather for it, and now I know why they call it the rain forest. It makes the trails really muddy and makes them very difficult to maneuver. But what you don't know about me is, in my younger day, I was quite the mountain bike extraordinaire through the Highlands of Scotland. So let's see if I still have the skill set that it takes to get down these trails in one piece. Here we go. Wish me luck. Well, seems like I still have it, and it looks like the old saying is true, just like riding a bike. I really, my pocket caught in the seat. I really, I'm good. My pocket, look, see my pocket's on Oh well, that's what we needed, right? You wanted authenticity? Let's go.
One of the most prominent features of the whole area is a spectacular Mocho Choshwenko, a glacier-covered stratovolcano. It is in fact twin volcanoes, Choshwenko in the northwest and Mocho in the southeast. Apparently, the last eruption was in 1936. Well, let's hope. Rising to a height of 8,000 feet, it towers above the jungle canopy that surrounds it. A snow park has been established in the slopes of the mountain, and they offer a wide range of sports including skiing, snowboarding, sledding and trekking. Concerningly, by 2003, the ice cap had shrunk by a total of 40% compared to what it was in 1976. Now, part of the charm of the place is that it doesn't have slick resort facilities, and in fact, to get to the top of the mountain, I had to jump on a snowcat that took about 30 minutes to get there, but boy, was it worth the wait.
And I don't know if you can tell, I don't know if the camera will honestly do it justice, but it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Now, I'm having to ski back down, but nobody has skied this before, so wish me luck. So, this just might be the world's strangest ski lift. Well, that's definitely a lot easier than skiing. You know, part of the majesty of this place is you can see for miles. You can even see the Andes range. And there's 3 volcanoes that are in that view. One of them, the most active volcano in Chile, still has smoke coming out of the top of it. Tell you what, after that hard day of skiing, the hotel spa, Loenka, is really going to get a workout. The spa offers a full range of treatments here, and I've chosen a facial. And thankfully, it's one of the lesser exhausting experiences here.
So sadly, my time at Wilo Wilo has come to an end. Mind you, my poor aching bones might finally get a chance to recover. This reserve had made amazing progress in rehabilitating the damage done to the area through decades of logging. And it's not just the natural habitat, but through educating and employing the locals as well. It's not hard to see why they have won so many accolades, including the Nat Geo World Legacy Award and being named a UNESCO Biosphere. They really do live by their 3 pillars. And the fact that they have established the Wilo Wilo Foundation just shows their ongoing commitment to preservation and rehabilitation. Not only that, but they have put so much effort into creating a magical atmosphere by designing such varied and clever accommodations. So let's see how they fared on the Leave No Trace Eco Scorecard. Now, taking all of our criteria into consideration, I have given Wilo Wilo an overall score of A. I was most impressed by the fact that you were literally immersed in nature the minute you stepped out your door. What an incredible experience it's been for the last several days here in the Patagonia rainforest. If not, just a little bit exhausting because, well, there was so much to see and so much to do. But what I found really remarkable is the efforts that the reserve put in to social responsibility, sustainability, and ultimately ecotourism. This place is absolutely beautiful, and we want it to stay that way. So, when you travel to places like this, just do your part and leave no trace. I'm Richard Crawford. Until next time.